for another light lunch. Hi, Elizabeth here, and it's time for another light lunch, a light lunch on Wednesday. And we're here on LinkedIn. Let's make sure everything's going smoothly. We're also on YouTube. I have to push silence, going live in a few seconds. Great. So glad to have you here. A little bit of feedback there with the sound, and we are good. Everything is good. So again, it's Wednesday. We are here for a light lunch, and I do these every Wednesday, and today's a little bit different. Today's a little bit different because I'm responding to a pressing question that I received from an anonymous poster. So this should be really exciting. We'll get to that question in a second. But again, hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm from Talk with ECM. And I have some adjustments to my braces. So if you notice some awkwardness in my speech, yeah, it's true. I'm working on learning how to speak, which is interesting considering that's what I do for my profession. But today we are talking about authentic self promotion, not how to get my lips around these wires, and how you can get noticed, be selected, and get to yes. Yoo-hoo! And this anonymous post that I got, like, it is so on point this week. So I decided to toss things in the air and let's try something new, live streaming. And we're gonna dig into this. I'm gonna talk about some gamification. I'll have some space at the end for Q&A. Any questions you have, bring your skepticism, bring your tough questions, give me specific examples, and we'll talk about it. Because let's face it, talking about ourselves, like, it's and shining a spotlight on our strengths, our accomplishments, what we do well, it can sometimes feel a bit awkward. It's it's something that you might get negative feedback about either in the past or now, or you've seen other people do it and it kind of makes you want to vomit in your purse. Whatever it is, guess what? We're going to break down those barriers. We're going to talk about it. We're going to unpack it. We're going to look at it, try and get a clear view, and discover real tactical ways, practical, comfortable ways to shine a light on your awesomeness, on your accomplishments, on your experiences in a way that's true and authentic to you, in a way that's using your words, not some hoity toity, funky words from AI generated tool, although there can be some really good ones in there. But try and find a way that you can talk about yourself without bragging, without exaggeration, without lying. Absolutely no lying allowed, because that's not going to work. It's not sustainable. And this event that I'm doing right now is about you and trying to shine a light on you and making sure that the world knows what you're bringing to the table, the value that you're adding. And just for a second, I have some hair like in front of my eye. I don't know what is going on. There we go. There's like this thing hanging here. Now it's here. Anyway, my goodness. So we're going to get into this. So authentic self promotion. And as I mentioned, I have a post that I received. So I'm going to read that live now. Let me just pull this up. And if you're here listening live, hashtag live. If you're listening on the replay, hashtag replay. Let me know you're here. I'd love to hear from you. It just is super fun to know you're here and listening. So here is the original post, and I'm going to read it to you. Dear Elizabeth, I need your help. I recently got promoted at work. Yay! And everything is fine. Although I just discovered that I have to do a lot of networking at events. And I also discovered that and this is all in caps, I suck at it. Yeah, I should put this so you can read along with me. Yeah, right. I suck at it. I consider myself friendly and talkative. However, at the second event, I found myself staying longer in the WC water closet or toilet, if you don't know what that means. So I didn't have to talk to anyone else. And here she has an emoji of the monkey. Ah! I know it sounds immature, but I get very tired after talking to strangers. I felt totally drained, and I also feel that there are no real connections as everyone is trying to find out how can they use you, which at the end that are that's what the events are for. Do you have any tips? For example, what am I supposed to say when they ask about my background? I started talking about my previous jobs and studies, and I see their faces give me the impression that I said something wrong. I'm lost. Help! Ugh, excellent. Great clear post. I hear it. I know where you come from. Got it. So let's before I get into responding, let me just take this apart a little bit and double checking the live stream. Everything's working. Good. I've had some awkwardness in the past for those of you who've watched my other videos, so I'm trying to stay on top of it. So let's take this apart bit by bit. Dear Elizabeth, I need your help. Great, no problem. I recently got promoted at work. Super. And everything is fine, except for I just discovered I have to do a lot of networking. Yeah, that's tough when things don't actually flow or go in the way they think they do, right? I consider myself friendly and talkative, two super traits to have. Good. In fact, yeah, your response actually, rather than going through line by line, let me take more overall global view to respond. So I just want to say, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yes, your response is totally understandable, especially, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I still feel strange being in large groups of people. Like for so long, we were doing this physical distancing. I know it's 2023, but like, I just haven't been out and about and diving into large groups at the same rate that I used to. And I'm still adjusting. And I feel things have changed. People have changed. And what we used to do doesn't seem to fit as much anymore. Right? In the past few years, it's just changed a lot. And in my experience, even the most extroverted extroverts can still feel overwhelmed and even socially awkward stepping back into those large groups or networking in general. But okay, now I'm speaking directly to the poster here. Rather than leave you stuck in the WC, stuck in the water closet, stuck in the toilet, leave you stuck hiding in the stall, I'm going to give you 3 specific things that you can do right now. And this is for the poster as well as anyone else who's listening right now. This is something we all can and actually should do to help promote our networking skills, because that's what we're talking about today. And we're talking about authentic self-promotion, which is a key part of networking and being at events. And when people ask you, so what do you do? Or what are you here for? Or whatever the starting question is. So number 1 rule, I'm going to give you 3 things that you can start doing right now or at your next event. But I suggest right now. Number 1, be gentle. Be gentle. My first bit of advice for you and anyone else who's listening right now who feel the same way or have had similar experiences, because you're really not alone, please be gentle with yourself and give yourself time, because networking and connecting with others, it's a skill. And like many other skills, like riding a bike, driving a car, learning to read and write, they can all be learned, practiced, and improved over time. And from the original post, it sounds like you already have the desire and talent for this, right? That you just told me you have recently received a promotion. You got that promotion for a specific reason. They looked at you and said, yes, this is our person for this position, for this job. So that is a great confirmation from outside that you've got what it takes. And as you mentioned yourself, you're talkative, you're friendly. So you've got all the ingredients there. Now it's time to put them together. So What is the third essential element of mastery when it's, you know, sorry. So you have the desire, you have the talent and skills. Now you need the third essential element for mastery. Are you ready? It's time to bring your A game because you're going to these events on a regular basis. You need it now, today. And that is time. You need time. You need to be gentle with yourself and give yourself time to develop these skills, to improve them over time, to practice, to test them out, to experiment. And don't be afraid of a few flops, but we'll get to that in a second. All right, let's jump in right away to number two. And again, if you're just joining now, hashtag live or hashtag replay, let me know you're listening in, who's here. And we are going into authentic self promotion where I'm responding specifically to a post that I received, an anonymous post. And I'm giving the three things this person should do right now, three things you should do right now to up your networking game. And the number two thing is to remember. Number two, you've got 7 seconds. 7 seconds. What do I mean? The truth is that we only get one chance to introduce ourselves, one chance to make a first impression. And that's the first time you meet someone. But also, for example, when I go into work or I'm at a meeting and it's people I may have met before or known before, I'm also making a new first impression for today, right? How are we starting out? How are we approaching each other? How are we doing this? But I'm focusing more on this one because you can kind of refresh, but it's a lot harder if your initial first impression falls flat. It's a lot harder to save yourself. It's easier to maintain. So you only get one chance to make that first impression. So make yours count. You want it to count? Practice it. Why do we want to practice it? Because science shows that most people actually solidify a first impression within 7 seconds. 7 seconds. That's not a whole lot. We make our first impressions, we start thinking about and creating our first impressions within like milliseconds of meeting the person, maybe even before they speak, just by how they look, how they stand, body language, communication, posture. What are they holding in their hands? Like, oh, our brains are quick. Our brains are super fast and ready to put people into boxes and categorize things so it makes sense in our mind. And when someone begins to speak, then we're taking other information. How do they sound? What's their tone of voice? What language are they speaking? How well do they speak it? Are they making eye contact? Do they smell bad? What's their breath like? Whew, there's a lot. So within 7 seconds, not only as humans, not only do we create that first impression, but within 7 seconds, we solidify it. That means we say, yes, I was right in my assumptions, or not, or we change it, tweak, adjust. So in these first 7 seconds, whew, my lips. What are you going to say in those precious seconds? What are you going to say? What are the words that you choose to introduce yourself? And here, I really suggest working out a few drafts, a quick intro, something you want to say to capture interest, to create intrigue, and present yourself as a clear, competent, and relatable person, right? That's what we want. Fumbling around, thinking, oh, what should I say? And feeling nervous about what to say. What if you already had 3 prepared and you choose one? And you choose one you're going to practice this time. 7 seconds. So you're not going to say a whole lot. You'll probably say your name, your who, your what, and your why. But we'll get into that a little bit more clearly right now. In fact, I'm going to suggest that you have about these 4 things. So one, your who. Who are you? Who are you? Maybe you're going to say your name, your job title, something about you, a general description of who you are. Who do you want them to know you as? If you're at an event, you might have a name tag, you might have the company. That's your who. Who are you? The second one is another who. So who, I feel like an owl. Who, who. Who do you support or who benefits from your work, right? So it's who are you and who are you supporting? Who benefits from what you do? And I'm taking all of this from a rather professional perspective because the poster wrote about networking events specifically for work. So if you're listening in and you want to think about how do I introduce myself at a parents meeting, you're going to want to say who you are. And here, who do you support? Who do you benefit from your work? You can either say your professional or your social life. So, hi, I'm Elizabeth, and I might say I'm Penelope's mom, something like that. Number 3, what? What? Now, this is the big picture of what you do. Might be a job title or it might be an image, but just give a general taste, a small flavor of what you do. No details, please, no details. I was speaking to a woman in our last session on Friday, and she had a very clear, precise technical description for her LinkedIn profile. But in communication, when talking, we used the image of a bridge. So she's an importer, exporter. When communicating, she can say, I'm the bridge between, and she described her two clients. So the ones in Europe and the ones in Asia. So that was a really cool connection and a great image to describe her what without getting into the nitty gritty details. And remember, we want to present yourself as clear, competent, relatable. So not too technical, not too many complicated words. So you're bumbling over them, especially if you just got braces. And you want to be, well, intriguing. You want to spark their interest. A bridge? You're a bridge? How's that? All right. So we want to spark their interest. Be clear, but don't reveal everything. So the first one's who, yourself. Who do you help? Who do you support? Number 3 is your what. And number 4 are your results. How is the world better because of your work? What are the results that you make possible? And this whole thing, all 4 of these things should be about 10 to 15 seconds. So it's over that 7 seconds limit because I hope with the what and the results, you've had enough interest and spark that they want to know more and hang on for those extra 3 seconds, right? So if you want to talk about this more specifically, the initial poster didn't give me any extra information, and you're an anonymous poster, so I can't ask follow-up questions. But for those of you listening, either live or on the replay, yeah, give me some details. Let's talk about it. I can help you work out some sample introductory sentences for yourself that are authentic, not braggy, not exaggerating, not lying, and don't make you want to puke in your purse. What? Right. So I suggest developing this over time, testing it out. How does it feel in your mouth? How does it feel when you say it to other people? And adjusting with practice. It yeah, it might feel frustrating not to get it right the first time. Like, Elizabeth, just tell me. But Elizabeth, can't you just tell me what to say? Why do I have to practice this? Right. You feel frustrated. You don't want to do that. But then please refer again to number 1. The number 1 thing is be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. This does take time. It's a skill like learning to ride a bike or learning to introduce yourself in an authentic way. So be gentle with yourself. So if you're just listening now, let me double check and make sure everything is super, everything's running. Excellent, we're good on time. And today we're talking about authentic self-promotion, how to get noticed, selected, and get to yes. And I'm talking about the 3 things that you can do right now. So number 1 was be gentle. Number 2, be gentle with yourself and take time to practice and develop. Number 2 was you've got 7 seconds, so keep it short, concise, and clear. And to be that precise, to be that clear, practice. So they're not too far off from one another. But number three is a whole different animal. Number three is completely different, and I'm excited to tell you about it because actually it's one of my favorites. Number three is gamification. Gamification. Yes, because I love games. So I suggest make it a game. Make it a game. When you go to a networking event, when you go to a big social event, make it a game. Why? Because this activates our natural tendencies in our brain for achievement, motivation, and fun. Achievement, motivation, and fun. I love games, and I especially love using them to level up and boost performance in whatever we're trying to improve, right? And in my experience, when using gamification, the results are usually well beyond expectations, especially if there's a bit of competition involved. So, have I used gamification in my own life? Absolutely. Do I see gamification around me all the time? Yeah. There are so many apps, language learning, that are using gamification. Or I one time I lived in a house with a group of other students, and we had a gamification to help us get house chores done. At work, there's lots of mini competitions, gamification to help level up, right? Gamification, or even when I go shopping, I just had here a bonus card or whatever when I go shopping at the supermarket to gain points so you can get special discounts, and gamification is all around us. So why not use it to your advantage and add gamification to your next event? So how to do this? Elizabeth, sounds great, but how do I do it? Is there an app? It's even easier than that. Simple as this. And again, you can use this for networking, as we're talking about now, or you can use it in some other aspect of your life. Just tweak a bit. So, how to add gamification to your life or to your next event? One, set your goal or intention before you go to the event. So, what do you want to accomplish? What is it you want to do? What do you want to improve? What do you want to be able to do? And this you have to set before you get there, because once you're there, it just gets complicated and messy and confusing. So set it before you go. And it needs to be something that you can measure, right? So it's got to be quantifiable, something that you can measure with numbers. Did I do it? Didn't I do it? Did I do it X number of times, or more or fewer or whatever? And it has to be something you can measure during the event. Pro tip, pro tip right here, when you're setting your intention or your goal, if it doesn't make you squirm a little, if you don't feel uncomfortable, it's probably not a big enough level up. So increase it. Increase it. What do I mean? Let me give you a few examples. And these are examples that I've even used myself in the past. So for example, maybe level one might be, okay, you're going to an event, and this I'm talking to the poster, the original poster specifically. If you're going there and you feel awkward, you feel exhausted talking to new people, you don't know who you should talk to, you feel like they're just out to like how they can use you, which feels disgusting, right? And exhausting. No wonder why you're hiding in the bathroom. Like I would too. Yeah. So, level one, maybe I would set the goal for myself, talk to at least three people. It's clear, it's measurable. Do I have to get their cards? Do I have to get them to buy my product? Do I have to get them to sign my petition? No, I just have to talk to three people. Make it measurable, make it clear. At the end of the event, I can look and say, how many people did I talk to? Four. Yes, I met my goal. I exceeded my goal. Or only two. Try harder next time. So, level one, maybe level two, talk to every person at the event. Okay, this is good when there's 25 people at the event, but if there's 1,000, okay, that's not really measurable for big events, of course. So, you have to make the goal match your specific situation. Level three, if it's a bigger event, maybe my goal would be talk to the keynote speaker, start a conversation. Maybe before they speak, after they speak, ask a question, engage in a dialogue, have a one to one conversation. Or if that's not possible, just a small group. Get something a little more intimate where your face and your voice are being exchanged. Get involved. Or, so we talked about talk to at least 3 people, talk to every person, talk to the keynote speaker. How about share your story at the event, right? This can be maybe you were a speaker at the event, or you have a booth and you're sharing your personal story and you're engaging with others and being vulnerable and putting out your brand story, your brand verbiage and your knowledge and your experience, and you're exchanging and creating dialogue and adding value. So find the level that you feel comfortable with, make sure it's measurable, and make sure it feels a little uncomfortable when you say it. Then at the end, check back. How did you do? So, one problem I've seen, and this I've actually seen a lot, and I just want to warn you if you say, yeah, this sounds cool, gamification. I like it, Elizabeth. I got my goal, I got my event, I'm ready to go. To ensure your success, I give you this second pro tip. Keep this goal in mind during the event, because it's easy to get involved in things and fall into our normal patterns and routines, find ourselves stuck in the toilet maybe, and forget about it. So, what I suggest you can do is maybe write it down on a slip of paper in your pocket, not on your phone, but on a slip of paper in your pocket somewhere. When you put your hands in your pocket, you'll feel it and remember, or you can take it out and look at it and remember, yeah, this is my intention. This is my goal. This is what I want to do. This is how I will make tonight a success. This will help you stay focused and work towards your goal at strengthening your networking muscles. And don't worry if a few conversations flop or if things don't work out exactly as you planned, because each interaction, even the ones that are awkward and weird and flop, is one more step towards your goal, right? It's one more step towards your goal, because even the ones that don't go well, I say, okay, that one didn't go well. Maybe it was one person and it was a fluke and they have their own story and drama going on. But if it happens with 2 people, 3, okay, I'm starting to notice a pattern. Maybe I need to change my brand story or my approach or my initial words or my introduction or my whatever it is, and think about it. Maybe it's my body posture. Maybe it's the way I approach people. And you can think about this, reflect on it, take it apart. Don't take it personally. It's an experiment. You're learning to ride a bike. You're learning a new skill. And the first time you ride a bike and fall down, does that mean you're a failure? Of course not. We all fall down when learning something new. And sometimes it might feel awkward or hurt, but yeah, it's going to be worth it. And when you need help, you want specific words, or you're not sure how to make it clear and concise and snappy, send me a message. Let's talk about it. And I want to tell you about a bonus. So I talked about fall and making the analogy to it's like learning to ride a bike and fall and you get hurt. And that may sound like something you don't want to do, but let me tell you about a bonus. One of the biggest benefits of adding a bit of gamification in your life is the reward at the end. So don't forget to congratulate and reward yourself for a job well done. Yeah. So just like riding a bike, you should get that, you should get that huge success feeling at the end when you've accomplished your goal as well. So in closing, because we're coming up on 30 minutes here, 30 minutes in closing, I want to wrap this up and keep it tidy for a Wednesday light lunch. In closing, I'm really glad that this poster shared this very specific situation with me. This open sharing and caring is one of the things that I truly love about my LinkedIn community, because in LinkedIn, we can curate and decide who are we following. We're doing the likes and the comments and engaging and clicking that bell sign to decide who's in our community, whose information is coming in through my feed, who does LinkedIn, the algorithm, decide that is worth my time and effort. It's like a curated little butler. I love it. I love it. And this is exactly why I responded to this post with a full video session, because you're worth it to me. You are worth it. And that's what I'm here for. So, excuse me. If you'd like to talk more about your specific situation and steps forward, reach out. Let's talk. You can send me a private message, leave a comment, or tag me in a post. In any case, I encourage each of you to try all three of the steps I shared today. And please let me know about your progress. So that's the end. That concludes our light lunch for this Wednesday. This Friday, I encourage you to join me. We're going to have a interactive Zoom session. You want to know more about that? Click the link in my bio for the live Zoom practice session. You can join me and we'll talk about this. We'll talk about how can you introduce yourself? What is your 7-second snappy introduction, your super savvy introduction to connect with others, spark interest, and get to yes. Again, I'm Elizabeth from Talk with ECM. So glad you can join me today. See you next time.